Hey, house guests, welcome to today's Big Brother 24 updates and spoilers. I really hope I'm not about to throw up on myself because I just ate so quickly so that I could be done in time for this stream. But anyway, thank you for being here. Our house guests of the day are Sarah and Skylar Brown. Thank you both so much for the support. We could not do this without you, so thank you again. And we appreciate it so much. So if you guys want to be house guests of the day, check out our Patreon link in the info box below. It's only $1 for a holla. And before we get started, I also want to thank yesterday's super chatters because that's another fantastic way to support our channel. So Norm the Cat, Dawn MH302, Angela H, Holly M, Susie Loy, Vincent Campos, Vajrath, Paige Elizabeth, Mary B, Dane Thomas, Brian Demetrio, Michael Black, and Shane Wright. Thank you all so much for your super chats. Yay! All right, so we have some stuff to discuss here. So let's get started. When we left off yesterday, Michael, the 3-time HOH winner, he was preparing to make his nominations. He went through all of his one-on-one conversations with everybody, but it was mostly just for show because he had already decided before those combos that he was going to be nominating Terence and Alyssa this week. So he is sticking with the leftovers for now. He is reheating that Tupperware container. So his target this week is Terence because Terence is a stronger competitor than Alyssa, or at least he has been thus far, right? Plus, Michael and Brittany already have more of an established relationship with Alyssa. They have been cultivating that for weeks now, and they feel like they can get something going with her easier than they can with Terence. So Michael has also said if either nominee wins the power of veto, he would most likely put up Turner in their place, even though he said Turner was like 100% completely good this week because of what he did last week, putting Kyle up. So anyway, that's that. Another big theme for this week. We've seen something brewing here. Monty, Terence, and Turner have all had discussions now about how pissed they are that Michael and Brittany waited so long to share the Kyle information. But they are even more upset that Michael and Brittany won't own up to the fact that it was a game move. They keep saying it was weighing heavily on their hearts and like this was not a good game move for them. Let's be real. It was a game move and it was good for them until now. Now it's looking like it's maybe not so good. But as far as like taking Kyle out, that was a great move for them. So Monty and Terence are both saying that they would sway the jury against Michael and Brittany if they're in the jury house. And they will only be voting for Michael to win in the end if he's up against Brittany in the final two. Damn. Okay, so Monty and Turner were also talking about, obviously, they still want to try and get Michael out of here if they get the chance. But if they can't get Michael, why not take a shot at Brittany? Because they feel like maybe now they would have a chance of beating Michael in the final two because of how everything went down with the Kyle situation. People are going to be pissed about it. Maybe, the jury will be against him. So they don't want a situation where it's Michael and Brittany in the final two, right? So if we can't get Michael, let's get Brittany instead. So, okay, that's where we were at the end of yesterday's spoiler. So they had the nomination ceremony, and as planned, Michael nominated Terence and Alyssa. We knew that was coming. From what I saw, Michael didn't let them know beforehand that they were definitely going to be the nominees, but he did let them know that they were in the mix. So this was not like a huge surprise to either of them. So after the ceremony, Alyssa and Turner have a quick chat in the Jetsons' bedroom. And Alyssa is like, I want you to know, I did not tell Michael anything that happened out at Dire Fest, like with the after party or any of that. So Turner says, I don't think you got to worry. Between you and me, I know that you're not Michael's target this week. So Alyssa's like, cool. I've heard the same thing from Michael. I guess they had a little chat after the ceremony, but before the feeds came back. And Turner says, I will never in a million years vote you out. You have my vote until the end. So Alyssa says, Michael told me that everybody's cool with Terence going this week. And I'm only up next to him because Michael thought that Terence and I are close. So he didn't want to take the chance that if I won the power veto, I would use it on Terence. So Alyssa seems like, I mean, of course she doesn't want to be up on the block, but she feels better hearing that she's not the target this week. So she tells Turner, I just love you so much. I would fight for you. I would do anything for you. And yeah, then Alyssa mentions that Terence was laughing during the nomination ceremony. Oh my God. So Turner's like, yeah, Terence is ready to explode on Michael. Oh boy, he's really pissed at Michael. And apparently there was, I think, some sort of like an outburst after the ceremony. I don't know what Terence said exactly, but he was like apologizing for it later. So yeah. So Alyssa and Turner agree. If Michael asks about Turner's HOH week last week, remember when Turner was planning on backdooring Michael, but then Michael won the power veto and that plan was dead? They're going to say that Terence wanted Turner to backdoor Michael, but Turner shot it down. That's a lie. But anyway, that's their story. They're going to throw Terence under the bus. They're sticking to that. All right. Meanwhile, we've got Michael and Terence chatting in the HOH room. We didn't get to see the beginning of this conversation. It was not on feeds, but it sounds like apparently Michael called Terence out in his nomination speech for trying to campaign to keep Kyle last week. And it sounds like Michael also said, like, you never talked to me about it. Like, you had this plan that I was not a part of. So Terence says to Michael, as a black man, knowing the transgression happened against me and not anyone else in the house, only you? What? I'm assuming he's talking about the Kyle situation, right? And I believe there are other people of color in the house besides Terence. But he's saying it only affects him, so whatever. But anyway, Terence says, I had the right to say that I want to keep Kyle in the house. I mean, of course you have the right, but like, people are going to question you about that because it's kind of sketchy, especially Taylor. So Terence says, I felt that it was a better teachable moment for Kyle to stay here instead of being exposed out in the world. So he says, I'm happy that Kyle gets to at least go to jury and won't have to face the world just yet. All right. So anyway, Terence is saying it wasn't like some malicious situation that I wanted to keep Kyle in the house. It was for game reasons. Just the way that just the way that Michael and Brittany spilled to everybody about what Kyle was saying, just like that was a game move. It was also a game move when Terence was trying to keep Kyle around because Kyle would have been better for Terence's game, right? But Terence doesn't want to admit that. So Terence is also telling Michael, I wasn't withholding any information from you. We had a conversation at one point, and you told me that you did not want to talk game last week. And Michael clears this up. He says there was a little bit of a miscommunication. I didn't want to talk game around the time of the POV ceremony just because it felt like the game was on pause. You know, everything was super intense with the house meeting and everything. I thought we were kind of having like a reset. But so Michael apologizes and he's like, I didn't mean that I didn't want to talk game for the rest of the week. So I guess that was just a miscommunication on my part. But anyway, Michael says, I also did hear that me winning the power veto last week took away a potential plan. You know, that plan to backdoor Michael. And Terence is like, a plan that started from who? And Michael says, well, I heard from somebody that you made a comment after I won the veto, like, there goes plan A. So Michael says that raises some concerns for me as well. And I believe Brittany was the one who heard Terence make that comment. So Terence says, look, I had no power last week. I wasn't HOH, so couldn't have been me, right? Obviously, Turner was the HOH, and we know he was in on the plan, but like Terence also was pushing hard for Michael to be the backdoor target. So Michael says, if that was a plan in place last week, I did ask you if my name was floating around, and you pretty much said no. So Terence says, I think Terence realizes he's backed into a corner at this point, but Terence is like, I don't have anything in this game. I don't have a leg to stand on. I'm at a point in this game where I'm just beyond like F it. So Terence says, I feel like at this point, I can play the game from another standpoint from jury and do things and be instrumental in jury with the people that are there to try and make sure that the integrity or how I feel principle wise the game should be played and that the right people win it at this point. So, translation, Terence is going to be working hard in that jury to make sure that Michael doesn't win. So Terence says it's easy to just keep putting me up on the block. This is Terence's like 5th time up on the block. So he says, I'm going to take myself off the table, and then you guys will have to figure out how to play this game truly. Like, you can't just keep putting me up on the block. So Terence says, I'm going to start my game of jury. You're just going to leave? Like, what? He says, I'm going to bring the information that I have in my heart and in my head to jury, and it's going to be a different framework of how jury is going to feel about certain people if they make it to the finale. So again, Terence is essentially threatening to sway the jury against Michael, to poison the jury against Michael. And Terence is like, the things that I say in the jury, it's not going to be disrespectful or malicious. I'm going to keep it to game. We'll say about that. But Michael during this whole conversation seems unfazed. He does not seem bothered by what Terence is saying. He's just like, mm-hmm. So Terence says, excuse me. Terence says, I'm just beyond tired at this point. You have this game on lock, Michael. Everyone is talking about how they're just playing for 2nd, 3rd, 4th place at this point. Everyone is having these conversations and feels the exact same way. Ugh. Well, I mean, I don't know about everyone, but Terence says, you have to think about jury now, and I feel a way about it. Terence says, we're going to be able to have more open conversations in the jury about everything that happened, and he says Kyle couldn't really speak as freely in here, but like it's all going to come out in the jury house. Now, this is interesting because I feel like in the past I have heard that you're not really allowed to talk a lot of game in the jury house, except when they're like filming those very specific segments in the jury house that make it onto the show. But like they don't want you talking game up a storm when they're not rolling, right? So I don't know how much Terence is actually going to be able to talk game in there. I don't know who's going to like go with what he's saying. But he also seems to think that Kyle has more to say about what happened. And I'm kind of getting the vibe that Terence is alluding to maybe Kyle will say that Michael and Brittany supported his viewpoints and what he was saying about there being a Cookout 2.0 type alliance. That's what it feels like when I hear Terence talking about all this. But maybe there's more. I don't know. But Michael says he really hopes that Terence isn't actually ready to throw in the towel. He doesn't want to see anybody do that. He hopes he's going to go out there and fight for the veto. And Terence is like, yeah. I'm just tired. He tells Michael, you have other bigger options to target. You're a super fan. I can't wrap my head around you playing this way. And he says, I lost a lot of respect for how everything is going right now. And Terence is also trying to like throw Turner under the bus, but Michael has already promised Turner that he is not going to target him this week, even though Michael knows that Turner absolutely would have backdoored him last week if he didn't win the veto. So Michael tells Terence, look, this move is nothing personal. There is strategy here. I don't make any decisions lightly. That is the truth. Oh my God. But anyway, Michael says, I have reasons for what I do. And it might not make sense to you right now from where you're standing, but everybody's always talking about making big moves. I look at smart moves, and that's what I'm doing now, or what I'm trying to do now. And the big and the smart move don't always align. So Michael says he respects however Terence sees the game. Terence says he does the same for Michael. They both agree that they're open to chatting more throughout the week. Oh, yay. So then after this conversation is over, Michael is alone and he's just like, what? What's that? My goodness. Okay, so then Michael comes back downstairs after the conversation and he's in the kitchen with Turner, Taylor, and Brittany, and he tells them all about the convo with Terence. And Michael says that was awkward. Terence basically said that he was going to taint the jury against me. So everyone's just like, what? They're all laughing like incredulously, like, what is he doing? And Michael says, yeah, he told me that his game is done. Now he gets to go influence the jury based on his morals and his values and how he thinks that things have gone this season. So he also told me, I've done a good job in the house, but jury is going to be a whole different beast when we get to that stage of the game. So Taylor says, that's so stupid because there will still be other people going to the jury after Terence, and they are not going to totally agree with whatever Terence is saying about what went down. So this conversation is interrupted by Terence walking in. Ah! And they pick it up again a few minutes later, like after. And first of all, I have to mention, this group was discussing the bowler Pete Weber's "Who do you think you are? I am." If you don't know what I'm talking about, I think we've talked about it in the last few years. Maybe it was like last season, I don't know. But I talked about that amazing clip. If you want to look it up on YouTube, just look up Pete Weber, "Who do you think you are?" It's a good time. And they were just talking about how funny it would be if somebody reacted that way after they won a competition. It'd be so funny. Anyway, I just had to mention that because I freaking love that clip. So anyway, back to the game. Turner tells Michael, hey, I just had to let you know. This was never going to happen, but last week, Terence did want me to backdoor you. So here he goes, throwing Terence under the bus. And Michael's like, yeah, I got to let you know, Terence was trying to imply that you wanted to backdoor me last week. So, of course, like Turner is putting it onto Terence. We knew that was coming. All right. Meanwhile, Terence is talking to Monty and Alyssa in the Jetsons' bedroom, and Terence says, I just want to let you guys know where my head is at real quick. Monty and Alyssa were actually having like a personal conversation at that time. Alyssa was, just talking about how hard it's been with everything that's happened with Kyle and how much she's been struggling with that, whatever. So then Terence busts in and he's just like, I'm just tired, bro, of all the bullshit. And he tells them about the conversation with Michael, of course. And Terence says, what Michael said back to me was that I wanted to keep Kyle last week. And, he's holding that against me. And again, Terence is saying, as a black man, he has every effing right to keep Kyle in this game to learn from a different perspective. And Terence says, I'm sure that Taylor was the one who told Michael about that because she wanted to stay in the game and she felt a way about Kyle potentially staying. Shouldn't she feel a way about you campaigning against her to try and keep Kyle? Especially after what Kyle did? Like, what? And I love how Terence is chastising Michael for using the veto on Brittany instead of Taylor after everything that went down. But then Terence was more than happy to try and keep Kyle around and vote Taylor out. Like, what? Should Taylor have just bowed out and been like, you know what? I'll go to jury. You just keep Kyle around so that he can learn more. Ridiculous. But anyway, Terence says that he's tired of all of the, excuse my language, fuck shit. This is a term that he kept using over and over yesterday. I've never heard it before, but I'm like kind of obsessed with it now. But Terence is talking about how he told Michael about what's going to be happening in jury. He's going to be talking about the timeline of the Kyle situation, basically poisoning the jury against Michael and Brittany. And Terence says he kept it a bean and a buck. Was it a butter bean? Anyway, Terence says he's going to be talking about this Kyle situation this week. He wants the full story. He wants America to know his point of view. I think we got it. I think we got it loud and clear already, but sure. So Terrence says that Michael and Brittany are walking around like they did God's work. He's so sick of it. He's like, get the F out of here. He says that Michael and Brittany were complicit with Kyle. And when he says that, Big Brother temporarily, or no, it was more than temporarily. Big Brother switches the feeds. That's all we're allowed to hear about that. Oh my goodness. So I just have to say, it blows my mind how much more upset Terrence is with Michael and Brittany than he is with Kyle at this point. What? Oh my god. Yeah, no, I've never heard that term before. It's interesting. Okay, anyway, a little later, Alyssa and Brittany chat in the storage room. And Brittany is asking, like, how are you doing? Are you okay? Alyssa's up on the block. Alyssa's like, I'm okay. I talked to Michael. He made it very clear that I am not his target this week. And he also told me if if he hears that there's any chance of the vote flipping this week, and if he wins the power of veto, he would take me down if I'm in trouble. So Brittany is reassuring Alyssa, don't you worry. Like, not a single person wants you to go this week. They want Terrence to go. So Alyssa's hoping that this week will prove that she is a team player. She says next week she wants to work with Michael and Brittany. She's wanted to work with them this whole time. She says she trusts them. I just have to mention, this is not game related, but I just have to mention, during this conversation, they're in the storage room and they're like cleaning out the fridge and everything, and they are throwing things out that aren't supposed to expire for weeks. I'm talking like mid-September, end of September, and like things are still good after the expiration date too sometimes. Just FYI if anybody didn't know that. But yeah, they're throwing things out that aren't even going to expire for weeks. They're just like, we're not going to eat this. I'm going to get rid of it. That's so wasteful. It makes me so sad. Couldn't they be like, hey, DR, we're not going to eat all this. Can you like give this to somebody else? I don't know. I'm sure they can add that to Crafty for production, or like donate that to a food bank or something. I don't know. But like, it seems so wasteful and it makes me sad. But anyway, back to the game. Alyssa says she genuinely wants to go deep into this game with Brittany. And Brittany says, totally. She feels like her game this whole time has been linked to somebody else. And she really feels like she needs to do something in here that's just for her, because she's not really sure what she would say to the jury at this point if she makes it to the final two. And Alyssa's like, no, what? You want to veto yourself. You were a big part of winning the Woodstack one with Michael. You were part of an alliance and like made decisions with them. So she's trying to hype Brittany up. And Alyssa says, Brittany, I'm really good for your game. And Brittany agrees. She's like, yeah, but we really need to start thinking about who we feel we could potentially beat in the end. We are at that point in the game. So Alyssa says, everybody brings something different to the table. There is a lot that factors into deciding who should win. So Brittany says, I think that you and I would probably be pretty evenly matched if we were in the final two. And Alyssa's like, I hope so, but also, are we? She seems a little unsure about it. She's not sure that her game stacks up to Brittany's. And Brittany says, let's be real, I've got a lot of enemies in the jury. True, I don't know that a lot of people would want to vote for Brittany to win. But Brittany says the jury loves Alyssa. Indy, Jasmine, they're both in there. Kyle, of course. If you make it to the end, especially like being on your own, like you weren't with the leftovers, Brittany says if you do that, you deserve to win. No, let's not go that far. Let's calm down a little bit. But Brittany again is saying that they would be evenly matched in the final two, even though they've played such different types of games. And Brittany tells Alyssa, you have played the best social game out of everyone outside of the leftovers. So Alyssa's like, oh, thank you. So Brittany is worried that it's going to look like she has been carried this whole time. I'm talking about Brittany, not Alyssa. I mean, they've both been carried. But I would say that Brittany has contributed quite a bit more to the game than Alyssa has. But Brittany feels like even though people are going to act like she was carried, she still has a lot of blood on her hands for moves that have gone down this season. And Brittany brings up, she's like, all right, I really love Michael and I don't regret working with him at all, but no one can sit next to Michael on finale night. Oop. So Alyssa's like, yeah, I think Michael knows that too. I mean, he's not an idiot, right? He's got so many more competition wins than anyone else. But Brittany and Alyssa both agree that they would love to see two women sitting together in the final two. And Alyssa says she loves Taylor too. This is new. But Michael joins them, so that conversation's over. But they talk about Michael's conversation with Terence, and Michael says Terence made it very clear that he's going to try to tank me with the jury, and he doesn't like the way that I handled the Kyle situation. So Michael says no amount of threatening is going to change my mind about taking Terence out this week. That is still his plan. And Brittany says, yeah, Terence was targeting you even before this Kyle situation anyway. So, like, you got to get him out of here. All right. So, Monty and Terence had a long chat in the car bedroom last night. And I'm not going to go through all of it because it's very repetitive. It's stuff that we've already heard. Terence is talking about his chat with Michael, the Fook shit. I'm trying not to drop too many F-bombs in these. All right. Anyway, there's lots of talk about how they're not happy with Michael and Brittany for how they handled the Kyle situation, and they're targeting both of them now. If they can't get Michael, they're going to go for Brittany. So there was also a lot of crap talk about Taylor in this conversation. Apparently, she tried to hug Terence during, or not during, but after the nomination ceremony because, like, that's what everybody does, right? And Terence would not accept the hug. Seriously? So that was a thing that happened. Monty is really frustrated that Taylor is still defending Michael and Brittany, still wanting to work with them. He wants her to realize that they are always going to pick each other over her. I mean, Michael used the veto on Brittany instead of Taylor. And Monty wants Taylor to realize that the best that she can do with Michael and Brittany is third place because they're going to pick each other. So Terence is like, yeah, I'm going to talk to Taylor about it. And he says that Taylor is an only child and she's never had real friends. So she's like getting this attention from Michael and Brittany and she's eating it up. And he says Taylor's little friends that she claims outside the house are all manufactured from pageants. It's a clique. It's not genuine bonds like bros. Wow, this guy is really something else. I cannot believe the way that he has talked about Taylor this whole season. Why is he so obsessed with her? Like, it's actually weird. So yeah. Anyway, a little later, Taylor is chatting with Michael and Brittany in the gym, and they're wondering, what have Monty and Terence been talking about for so long off on their own? Taylor says she thinks that Terence is trying to make Monty mad about Michael and Brittany not spilling the Kyle information sooner. I mean, yeah, he's been working that for a few days now. So Brittany says she doesn't think it's going to work. It's already done. Monty is not happy with Michael and Brittany. But Taylor says that Terence is worried about what it's going to look like to the outside world, that he tried to flip the vote on her to keep Kyle last week. And Taylor says, you know what? Terence should be worried. And then she says, and then to have that reaction at the nomination ceremony, whatever he ended up saying, and then to not hug Taylor, not talk to her. All right, go for it. And she says, Terence won't talk to me. And yet he actively sought out the only other Black person in this game who is a man to talk about all of this. So Taylor says, F you. That's where I'm at right now. Okay, sounds good to me. So this morning, they had the POV player picks, and everyone will be playing in this competition except for Turner. And if you look at it, I mean, it seems like everyone would leave the nominations the same except for Terence or Alyssa. They're going to use it on themselves. But everyone was really confused after the player draw because apparently Terence got house guest choice and picked Taylor over Turner. So everyone was like, what is that? Like, he doesn't like Taylor. He's tight with Turner. Like, what's going on here? So Terence explained to Turner that he didn't want to put Turner in a position where if he won the veto, he would have to choose between Alyssa and Terence since he's close to both of them. I don't think that's the only reason. He had a different reason for Taylor. So Terence asked Taylor to chat in the car bedroom. And Taylor's like, why have we not spoken? You know, it's been a while. And Terence says, yeah, I feel like there's been a strong disconnect. Part of it's my fault. I'll own that. Part of it? Okay, sir. So Terence is like, I'm going to rewind to the Kyle situation. What a surprise. And Terence says, I was just so angry with everything that happened in that whole situation. And he says, I'm going to speak on this all later in a house meeting. But you, Taylor, you get a preview. A house meeting? Another house meeting? Oh my God. I don't know if that's actually happening or not. I don't know when it's going to happen. Chances are it will happen on my day off because that's when it always happens. But anyway, Terence says, I understood that Kyle had a role to play, probably a significant role to play, but I still felt other people held the bag too. Probably a significant role to play. Okay, I just want to be very clear here. Michael and Brittany did not make Kyle think or say those things. Was it wrong that they held this information back for so long? I think so. But like Terence is not bringing the same energy to Kyle that he is now bringing to Michael and Brittany. It is wild. So Terence says, my anger about it all was building up. It was nothing against you. Like when he denied Taylor's hug after the nomination ceremony. So then Terence starts going over what he's going to be telling everyone. And he's going to say, before we split up for Brochella and Dyrefest, Michael and Brittany had damning information that affected every minority in this house. They knew of a person conspiring to do something against multiple Black people, and they just stood by. So Big Brother flips the feeds when he says that. Really? Anyway, again, he's so much more upset with Michael and Brittany than he is with Kyle. So when the feeds come back, Terence is talking about how it was a game move on Michael and Brittany's part to expose Kyle. Absolutely. And he says his anger grew when Michael used the power veto on Brittany instead of Taylor. Oh, now he cares about Taylor. But he says, your relationship with Michael and Brittany disgusts me. He says, you are being taken on a ride. It is manipulative to me. Is it as manipulative as Terence calling Taylor his little sister in this conversation? So he's got a lot of nerve saying this when he has tried to manipulate Taylor. It's wild. All the shit that he has talked about her behind her back. So Terence says it is manufactured and calculated game, which is wild because Michael and Brittany have been friends with Taylor all along. They've had a final 3 deal with her for so long. They've been friends with her when nobody else would. It's wild. But Terence says Michael and Brittany are just as much to blame as Kyle in this situation. And yet Kyle is the only one that has taken the repercussions. Oh my God. So Terence admits, yes, I did say last week that we should keep Kyle just to teach him something. And he tells Taylor, yes, it would have effed up your game. I agree. I hear you. I'm just speechless at this point. Like, what? So Terence says, I talked to Monty about it, and he convinced me that we can't hold people's hands, right? Sometimes people have to face the consequences in order to learn. Well, you still brought it up again, even after that conversation with Monty, but okay. So Terence says that he picked Taylor for the power veto this week to show that he F's with her. You know, he wants to work with her. And he says, I'm not angry with you. I'm angry with the situation that you are connected to. So Terence is just going on and on about how Michael and Brittany are fake with her. They don't deserve to win. And Taylor is like, Taylor's finally able to speak during this conversation. And Taylor's like, listen, you're telling me that they've been feeding me a lot, but I can hold a lot in my mouth. They're laughing about this. But she says, it doesn't mean that I'm chewing. It doesn't mean that I'm digesting all of this. But she says she sees clearly, and she has for a while. She knows what's going on here. And I'm sure, like, she realizes Terence is also full of shit, right? She's got to be seeing through Terence here. But anyway, they both say that they appreciate each other. Terence says he's not working against her. Sure. And, yeah, it seems like, I don't know, Terence is using the situation for game himself. But anyway, Terence has been having some more conversations about the Kyle timeline with people throughout the day, including with Michael and Brittany. But it's not anything new. Nothing is changing because of it, so I don't feel like we need to go through this all again. But the Power Veto competition should be happening at some point today. If you want to check back later, I will post the results. Who do you want to win this Power Veto? Let me know in the comments because I'm very curious. All right. Thank you all for being here. I want to thank today's super chatters.
Oh, hi.
Hello. Bowie, what do you think?
I know you're trying to get rid of us.
What do you mean?
Because you have somewhere to go.
Oh, yeah, I have a housewarming party to go to. But anyway.
Not your own.
No, not my own. And I need to call Granny before that. So anyway, Janine Honberger, thank you so much. And Janine says, oh, hi.
Oh.
Hello. Thank you for the super chat. Arjun, is it Wrights?
Yes.
Arjun Wrights.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you so much. And they said thank you. You're welcome. Carolyn Harmon, thank you so much for the super chat. Skylar Brown, thank you so much for the super chat. And Skylar says, hey, absolutely love your updates and feeds.
And
thanks
the house
for
guest of
watching.
the day.
Yes, and one of our house guests of the day. So fun. Ali Gonzalez, thank you so much. And Ali says, kind of wish Butterbeans was there for Zingbot. I know. In a way, I miss Jasmine just because, like,
she's ridiculous.
She was such fun feeds. Like,
yeah.
I don't know if there's ever been someone like her on the show before. She was very unique.
I'm sure there has been.
I don't know. But she was very unique, and I miss her in a way. Did she drive me insane? Yes. But was she also entertaining?
Yes.
Hell yeah. All right. Sarah Nichols, thank you so much for the super chat. And Sarah says, Terry makes me sick how he's treating Taylor. I know, right? It is really disgusting the way that he's talked about her this season, and then he tries to act like he's looking out for her and he's like best friends with her, wants to work with her. Gross. Robert Smith.
Wasn't he the one who said, like,
she's like a hoe on a stroll?
And, like, how did she become Miss
He said all sorts of, like, really gross stuff.
Yeah.
Really gross stuff. Robert Smith, thank you so much. And Robert says, Terence has to go. He has hate for Taylor. And he's had it this whole time. He's, like, obsessed with her.
Mm-hmm.
It's weird. Norm the Cat, thank you so much. Music Lover 21, thank you so much. And they said, Kyle's roast would have been 10 seconds long. Zing! Ah! That's a good one. Yeah, I'm curious to see... Like, we know what all the zings were about, but I'm curious to see, like, how they're all worded and everything, the delivery of them. Should be fun, right? And Fueled by Intentions, thank you so much for the super chat. They said, congratulations on your engagement and move. Thank you. I love your daily updates and spoilers. Monty for POV. Okay. It's been said too much that he's coming for Michael, and I don't want him to become a backdoor target. I like that. I think that's cool. Do you think that Monty would leave the nominations the same? Or do you think that he would save Terence? I think he would leave noms the same.
Really? I think it's 50-50.
You think?
Yeah.
He could possibly be convinced, I think, to save Terence, but I feel like I haven't heard him say anything about doing that. I don't know. It'd be really interesting, actually. It'd be very interesting.
Who would be the options to go up?
I think Turner would go up.
Oh.
Turn daddy. Yeah, so I don't know what Monty would do. It'd be interesting. Shane Wright, thank you so much. And Shane says, Terence should have been gone weeks ago. He adds nothing good to the house. Yeah. He hasn't been my favorite this season. Okay. Super Mommy for TN. Thank you so
Tennessee.
much. Oh, Tennessee. Thank you so much.
From Tennessee.
Okay. They said, thank you so much for catching me up every season when I fall asleep by 9 most nights. Oh, I love you and your mom. Maddie, you got to try it out for BB25. Thank you so much for watching. I used to try out for the show. I tried out for like a bunch of different seasons, but I just don't know that I could ever hack it even back then. But these days, I think I just enjoy watching it. Sometimes I don't enjoy it, but like most of the time, I think I just enjoy watching it. I think I would have an emotional breakdown in that house.
I just don't think it's worth it.
I would also miss home so much. But anyway, thank you all so much for being here. I got to run today. So we will be back tomorrow for the episode recap. If you're new here, we don't do updates on Sundays because I'm gonna go see my grandma. But we will be back for the episode recap, and then our next spoiler will be on Monday. So hope you all have a great Saturday night, and until tomorrow, much love. Bye, everybody. Bye. Bye.
Yeah, lick a foot.